Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Conversations of Pop Culture, and we are back in the saddle once again for another season. And before I introduce my guest, I do want to remind everybody that this episode is brought to you by my friend Preston Poulter from PocketJackComics.com. And if you go to PocketJackComics.com right now and sign up for his email list, you get 3 free comics PDF-wise. And so you can try it before you buy it. And if you buy from my eBay store, Pop Anime Comics Collectibles, you will get one of these books for free in every single order, as long as it's a comic book or something equivalent to it. So that's everything that I got. So go check that out. But enough about that, because I have with me comic creator and head of TV and film of Zenescope, Ralph Tedesco. So welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me. I sorry about the little mess. I just realized that my dogs are making a mess on my couch back here, so it looks a little unkempt. But I did match your motif with my Eagles hoodie with the green. I like the background here.
Well, that's because the Eagles are good. They messed up one game. I was very upset.
So
they should have won that game. And
yeah, happens. You lose to a bad opponent sometimes, and the Jets are pretty bad. Don't let Brian O'Halloran hear me say that, because if you know Brian from our movie club shows and the Clerks, of course, Brian is a huge Jets fan, so I don't want to disparage his team.
It's all right. It's all right. I'm a Giants fan, and it's just a failure. But enough about that, because I do want to talk about what's going on, because I think there's 2 big things going on with Zenescope right now. And I figured we would start with the first one, which is the Kickstarter that's going on, as you're doing the Wonderland trading card set. They're not trading card set, but 150 new images. And obviously, I think the thing is done almost 75,000 around that number. And I know this is the sequel to the Grimm Fairy Tales one you did and the cereal packs. And so what is this like, though? Because Wonderland, in my opinion, is what put you guys on the map in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like 15 years ago, give or take?
Just some, yeah. I think 2007. Yeah, I think it's 2007. So what's that math? 16 years ago, maybe. Yeah, I mean, we have so much. We just have so many Wonderland art, so much artwork from that series. I mean, we published a lot of Wonderland comics. And we still publish Wonderland stuff. So, just tons and tons of cover images, Wonderland images, like Alice, Callie. If you read the books, Callie is the daughter of, if you haven't read the book, she's the daughter of Alice, and it's a modern day reimagining of the Alice in Wonderland series, but with a horror twist, sort of like, I don't know, American Horror Story meets Alice in Wonderland, I guess is the best way to put it. Yeah, so I mean, the trading card thing is huge right now, and it's huge for us, and the Grimm Fairy Tale trading cards did really, really well.
Let's actually talk about that, because I'm a big trading card guy. I love collecting baseball cards, and I hunt down rare cards, and I love also doing non-sport stuff. And obviously, I'm very excited, and I've backed this campaign for those who, full disclosure, and I'm very excited. I'm very excited for what's in there. And I backed pretty big, so very excited to pack 20 packs plus. But what is this like? Because Wonderland's been around for 16 years, and there's people who have been with you guys for like since the inception in 2004, and I've been through Wonderland. And then there's people who've jumped into Zenescope 5-6 years ago. And so obviously it's really interesting, because I think this set and these trading cards encompass all of it. And so what is that like? Because some of the stuff that these covers are really hard to find, some of them are expensive, and now somebody can actually get access, not necessarily to the cover, but to a card that is going to be significantly cheaper.
No, I mean, like, it's huge. For collectors, it's really cool. I mean, I collected baseball cards when I was younger, and then I fell out of it. I mean, Joe was a little bit more into the card collecting stuff. I didn't know how well these would do. I mean, the Grimm Fairy Tales ones are crazy. We were in New York Comic Con, and people were just like, didn't even know our company, and were just buying the packs like crazy. I mean, we had one guy who just kept coming back every day and just opening up, looking for like a rare card or a foil or um, one of the lenticular cards, and then we had some of the cards graded, so CGC grades cards now. I don't know if you knew that, but you probably did. But CGC grades cards, and we had a bunch of graded cards out that were going. I mean, and they go for high, a lot of money. It's just kind of weird. It's just like crazy that it's such a lucrative thing now.
So do you feel, because this is the thing that I think is really interesting, is that obviously you started out as a comic company, in my opinion, and feel free to correct me at any given point here. But now, when you've done the metal cards, and then now you're actually doing trading cards. It's very much an expansion. And what is that like? Because I think in today's age, at the very least, companies have to be way more adaptable than ever before. And so, what is that like? Because now you have people who don't know anything about Zenescope, may or may not have ever heard of your company, may have never seen or know anything that you've done in comics, but they're like, you do cards and these look cool, and the art is really cool on this, and you have amazing art. What's your company? Because it's almost a hook.
Yeah.
Because, and it's a weird thing, because I feel at this point now, you need a hook to bring people in any which way, and you can't just be a comic company anymore if you want to succeed in today's environment.
Um, we've always been pretty good. Like we've always had merch, right? We've always done some merch stuff. Like early on, we did a Wonderland board game, like probably back in like 2009. We've always done we've done statues over the years. So it wasn't like we only ever published or had the Joe was always very adamant about doing ancillary products, which was smart. I mean, yeah, you want to start with the comics, and that's sort of you're laying the groundwork, you're laying the foundation of your house, say, and you start with the IP itself, the intellectual property, the comic books, the stories. Since we were doing all these, we were the first company really to do the reinventions of public domain characters so well and so often, and in this sort of horror fantasy um, way, it was easier to transition into doing some of the ancillary products because there was already an appeal, right? So if I even when we early on we used to do like we had a deal with Claire's, I think it was Claire's, for T-shirts. So like we were doing Wonderland T-shirts with our Wonderland artwork, and like nobody needed to really know our stories to see a sexy Alice cover or a creepy Cheshire cat cover, um, or artwork, I should say, on a T-shirt, and be like, "That's pretty cool. I know what that is. That's Alice. That's like a creepy Alice in Wonderland." They didn't have to really know our product to get that. So that was always helpful in that we have these characters that are reinvented our way, and whether they're modernized or reinvented or updated and reimagined, and then we could do products based on these characters that people kind of already know. Like you see an adult Snow White or Red Riding Hood or whatever it is, automatically, okay, that's a cool version of a character I already know. Um, so that was something that we always were pretty plugged into. And it's different if you do a wholly original comic book, which we've done. Obviously, we've done a lot of wholly original comic books with the new characters that nobody knows. It's going to be a little bit harder to get people to really buy into that, like those ancillary products. Like if you have, you might have a small, maybe you have a readership, but it might not be big enough to sell a good amount of product. But if you're doing it tied into a public domain character that you're
And so obviously, even when you go on Kickstarter, if you type in Alice in Wonderland, this thing is going to pop up. Whether it's the first thing, second thing, or third thing, it's going to pop up. And there's people who only collect and only are interested in things that are Alice in Wonderland, whether that is Cthulhu invades
yeah,
Wonderland, or whether that's, Alice fighting Cthulhu, or Alice, in something else doing something, or an allegory to Alice, whatever it is. It's always going to, it's going to trigger something. obviously on the internet. And so what is that like too? Because this is a very familiar concept, as you were stating, and
Yeah.
cards are really huge, and you have like a bunch of stuff working for you, where obviously you have a Zenescope built-in readership and audience, but then cards are really big. People are interested in Alice in Wonderland, and it creates a very interesting position where you're doing 75,000, and I think it's safe to say that you're going to break 90 and get pretty close to that. I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'd be very shocked if you didn't break 100 or get close to 100,000 on this campaign,
Yeah,
because
I think the Grim trading cards hit one.
like 103, I think, or 101.
I think it was higher. I think it might have been like 120. I have to look. So this should come in like at least maybe it won't get that high. I don't think it'll get that high, but yeah, it should break 100, which is good. I mean, listen, pre-selling your cards, knowing that you know we run a couple Kickstarters a year, and we've gotten into a pattern where we know how to fulfill them quickly and quickly and get them fulfilled, right? Because that's big. We were talking about that before we started the show. Like fulfilling Kickstarters is not always people
There's a
doing
saying. There's a saying that a campaign is not complete until every product is in its
yeah,
customer's hand. And
right.
I think people have forgotten that. Great, you are funded on this campaign. You are halfway done. You are not fully done
Well, people
because
don't realize the undertaking it is. Like, especially early, like first time Kickstarter. Like, if you have a successful campaign, but you don't have an infrastructure, you've never done it, fulfilling it and actually the responsibility of like putting it together, getting your product made, then shipping it, and all the things that go, shipping your rewards, all that stuff, it could be overwhelming, I think, for anyone, especially if somebody's like thrown, doesn't really know what they're doing, isn't very, doesn't have it really thought out. Maybe because he's maybe the biggest piece of crap I've ever talked to in my life. This guy's named Sean Berry, and I think he did was it I don't know if it was a board game based on an IP. I don't even not an IP on a based. Well, yeah, it was a licensed property, and I don't even know if he had the license. I don't think it was Evil Dead. Maybe it was, but it was like a campaign he funded. He made a fortune, never fulfilled it, fell off the planet. People, I think it's been years, and this dude like just pocketed like a couple $100,000 and like dropped off the planet. I don't know if he ever reemerged. Then like things came out about him being like abusive to employees and stuff later on. But I had my paths crossed with that guy years ago, and I've never really called out anybody in this industry. That I know a lot of bad people in this industry, but the one person I'll call out is this dude because he was like the worst. But like that, I feel like people, that's the problem. That's the downside to Kickstarter. If there's something not, there's nothing that you can let the person be held accountable, right? Because Kickstarter can't just guarantee, oh yeah, well, we'll give you your money. It's not going to happen. They're not going to do that. So you have to be a little careful.
It's very interesting because I've gotten a lot of shit for this, but I am not technically Kickstarter's client. I am a client of a creator.
Yeah.
The creator is the
And
client.
you have to trust that creator because at some level, I mean, because granted, sometimes you just have to, you're like, hey, this product looks cool. I don't know who this person is, but I'm gonna if I lose $20, I lose $20. But like,
I'll be very honest. I backed, I think, at $330. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And obviously I backed this campaign at that. So I think that's the big 20 pack thing. And then I think it's a hanger. And then I think I threw in a blaster. And then I picked up 2 covers. I'm more than happy to. I want this product and I'm super excited for it. But I would not be spending $330 on any run of the mill. Somebody had to say, oh, cool product. I'm going to, obviously, if I really want to spend $400 or $500 on a product, chances are I might ask to interview that creator. And a lot of campaigns that I wind up backing, I wind up interviewing them for my show and this show. And the reason why is that I build up trust. But also, if somebody is working for a big company like Zenescope and you guys are doing something, there's automatic trust built in. And I think that's the other thing too, because I've been buying from you guys for a while. but it's very complicated. But I do agree that sometimes if I lose $20 every once in a while, it's okay. But that's one of the biggest issues that's going on right now, I feel, is that I don't know who I can trust anymore in comics in this regard, both on Kickstarter and in the mainstream, because it's a real problem because there are plenty of people in mainstream who haven't fulfilled. And there's been plenty of problems. And at this stage, I mean, I'm owed a lot of merchandise for my business. I put up a post, and I think you saw my post maybe, where I was owed almost $23,000 worth of comics. I don't think people understand what that looks like when you're owed stuff and you can't sell it because you don't know what you're going to be getting, and you don't know, and it's all numbered. And how can I sell a serialized numbered product when I don't have the serial number? And I'm like, where's my product, everybody? And a bunch of it has come in the last few weeks, but
Yeah.
still owed a lot of money. It's very stressful. And
You just don't know what you're gonna get. You never know what you're gonna get. I mean, like this guy, like so, and sometimes, and I listen. I know I talked crap on this guy, Sean. Maybe he ended up fulfilling his campaign, and I could be wrong. But I do know a lot of horror stories too. So, you just have to sometimes be careful, and I think like that's the lesson learned. Yeah.
But I want to back out of the horror stories, and I want to talk about one more thing regarding the trading cards, because one of the things that I really like about what you've done here is that I think you have a bunch of foils in there. I think you have lenticulars in there, and I like the fact that you're doing a bunch of Christmas stuff as well. And so, what is this like? Because I think you guys have kind of stepped up the game a little bit, where you're bringing back some of the old stuff, but I really do like the Christmas stuff. I like the Christmas foils. And I don't think that was in the last run
No,
with
I
you.
don't think so either. I don't know if that was. Yeah, I don't know. Joe, I think snuck those in there. That was a pretty good idea. I just saw we posted the eBass Christmas one yesterday, I think, and it was so cool because people love it. First of all, the getting the foil. Again, this guy was opening them at in New York Comic Con, and he didn't even know anything about and he was just like losing his mind over stuff he was getting. Like he's, oh my god, this is a good one. And like it was just like so funny watching somebody who didn't really know our product before this kind of open cards and get so excited over like pulling a lenticular or pulling a foil card or any of the cool, like, Paul Green. Everybody loves the Paul Green ones. Ebass, like whatever, sometimes you just pull some awesome ones. And then there's like sketch cards in there. Yeah. I mean, Joe, I know Joe has a huge hand in coming up with those. Yeah, you should probably have Joe on again. Coming up with like what's in the cards, the packs, and Jen, who runs our Kickstarter, comes up with a lot of product too. So I think they spent a lot of time just getting it right now. And you don't, for me, nobody asks me what I think because I wouldn't be able to tell anybody what to do with the cards. I'd be like, yeah, cards, do that. I'm good with the images. I know what covers work. And then, when I was the editor in chief of the company, I booked a lot of those covers. But as far as like when you start getting into the realm of trading cards, I don't know anything. Don't ask me because I won't help.
Fair enough. And then obviously I do want to change gears. I think to more your lane, because I think this was announced at the VIP event virtual. And then obviously I think it was announced a little bit before that, but obviously you guys are involved in shooting a movie for Grim Tales of Terror. And I'm not going to push too hard on it, but I know that I don't think it was affected by the actors and writers strike. And I know that filming has started. And I think that there's been a trailer, like a miniature trailer. I'm not exactly sure, but what is that like? And how did that even come about? Because I know that you guys did Van Helsing. I know that you've been involved, I think, with Buffy to some degree prior to all this a while ago. I think you were involved with Seven, I want to say. Were you also involved in Final Destination stuff maybe as well back in the day, right?
Well, yeah. So as far as publishing rights to certain IP, again, intellectual properties. Charmed was one we did. Seven, we did the prequel. The first thing we ever did was the prequel to Seven, which was our first licensed comic book property. the prequel to Seven was Seven Sins, through the eyes of John Doe, the John Doe killer character in the movie, but it was like a prequel where it shows like him throughout his life and how he became John Doe. That ddid really well for us.
Because the reason why I asked this is that obviously Zenescope, since its inception or pretty close to its inception, has been around movies, television, a bunch of different stuff. And obviously, the Van Helsing concept that was on sci-fi for 5 seasons was kind of taken out from you guys, but then you didn't really have much control over where it was going.
So
Um,
yeah,
and then this is the first time that you have a project where you have some control, if not all control, or creative input at the very least. And so what is that like? Because that's a big deal.
yeah, it was cool. I mean, listen, we what we did was we always have stuff in development, like with a studio. Like right now, we have a movie with in development with Screen Gems called Paradise Court, based on a original horror graphic novel Joe wrote that we published. And that's that would be, if that goes, I don't know if it's going to go. A lot of, you know, the success rate of some of these things is very low, as you know, as most people might know. You get stuff in development, but yeah, have you ever heard of development hell? This is a true, very accurate thing, development hell. So, but we do have something in development with Screen Gems. We love working with them. We have a great screenwriter attached. That's a studio film. We are involved in that. Like, we do have a voice in that because the producer, we're executive producers, but the main producer on the project is a friend of ours that we made the Robin Hood short with years ago. I don't know if you remember the Robin Hood short we did. Jack Heller had directed and produced that with us, and he's producing this movie with us as well. So hopefully that goes, and we would have some involvement, but it's not something we are controlling. The studio's obviously going to make, when you do a studio movie, the studio is going to make the calls, right? What we're doing with Grim Tales of Terror is we're wholly doing it ourselves. So we're financing it, shooting it, producing it ourselves. So yeah, this is the first thing I've produced in my life, like as far as like hands-on actual producing. So we actually shot the first. It's an anthology series based on our comic book series called Grim Tales of Terror, which is very similar to Tales from the Crypt or a Twilight Zone. Is the twist for us is like we take these well-known urban legends and put a new twist on them, or an updated twist on them. That's the comic book series. So we're doing an anthology feature all independently. We shot the first movie this past August, and then we already cut the trailer. We screened the trailer in New York at Comic-Con. We had a really good reception for it. It looks great. I could probably play it for you guys, actually, if you want me to. I didn't think of that until just now. We could probably play it somehow. Yeah, and then we screen the trailer, and what we're going to do is finance the remainder of the film. We're going to actually kickstart it. So we're going to kickstart it early next year. Hopefully we'll raise enough financing to finish the whole movie, as well as going out to other independent financiers to get more money to finance the remaining 3 or 4 short stories we're going to shoot, along with the one we already shot, and then release it as an independent feature ourselves. And that's the plan. So we financed the first short ourselves, just out of pocket, and shot it in the desert in LA this past summer. It was crazy. We shot overnights every night for 4 days, or for 3 or 4 days. 7 in the morning. No, I'm sorry, 6 in the morning. 6 at night till 7, 8 in the morning every day. Was crazy shoot, just like doing it like off the cuff. We had a huge, we have 30-person cast and crew. It was a full thing. We were begging, basically begging favors, calling in every favor we had with producer friends, and crew, just to get all hands on deck to make this short. And it turned out awesome. I'm just super excited about it because it looked awesome. It looks great. So yeah,
So,
sorry.
let's actually talk a little bit about that because it isn't that though how it should be done, right? In which that because if the mentality is to do it yourself and almost bootstrap it, and then if you're gonna bring it to Kickstarter, to me, it's almost saying, "Hey, look, we bootstrapped a good chunk of this, and we started it, and we called in every favor we had, and
Right.
kind of got through hook or by crook, right? I mean, might be the saying here, and obviously we're going to be looking for other financing, and then also we're going to bring it to Kickstarter. I mean, that to me seems how independent projects should be done. I mean, from just a philosophical, I guess, idea and
Yeah.
because it makes me want to back that Kickstarter, right? If you said, "Well, we raised $6 million and we need another 6 million," I'm a little less
We raised
sympathetic.
6 million. One hell of a movie. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it would be great. Listen, movies are expensive, so financing this or the whole thing ourselves was, we knew that was going to be impossible. To do it right, to do it, make it look good. So we knew we could do a short, like the first short in the anthology and we knew the one we chose could be done in a way where we wouldn't need to, spend $1 million, say, to make it. Like we knew we could do it at a point and the way we wanted to shoot it, because the first one we shot is like a grindhouse vibe to it. So we knew we could shoot that the way we wanted to shoot it with the style we were looking for, and the director we got named Danny Donahue, who did an awesome job. We were excited that we were like, okay, we think we could do this. And then it was a lot of like, I was learning on the fly, like, because I was like producing, putting it together with another, and we had another producer friend of mine on the project as well, who was helping because I had never done it before, and he had made a couple movies with big name actors, and so he knew how to do this, and he had worked with Sam Raimi before. So I was like, okay, like I need your help because I never did this before. But yeah, doing it completely independently the way we want to tell the story is awesome because we have the control over it. It's Joe and I making all the calls. We're doing it ourselves. Like, no, we're not answering to anybody except what we want to do. Whereas with studio movies, obviously the studio, and then we hope the movie we're working on, the Screen Gems, is going to be awesome too. We have high hopes for it, and that might turn out as better than we ever imagined as well. So there's different ways to skin a cat, as they say, whatever that means. But doing this ourselves kind of allows us to then hopefully, if in success, continue that trajectory of, okay, we did this for X number of dollars on a tight budget. This is what we can do. Like, let's get to the next. Now let's do something a little bit bigger this time. And the next thing we do could be a little bit bigger, a little bit better. But that's sort of the idea behind it. Because it's the same for us. It's always like, we could wait around another 18 years or wherever it's been to make something, or we can just roll up our sleeves and do it ourselves. So that's kind of what the plan is.
So I do want to dive into this because I think having both paths diverging, because I don't see why you couldn't do a studio thing and then also do your own thing too. And I think that both work. And obviously, I think Zenescope as a company is big enough, has enough intellectual property that if somebody wanted to do Paradise Court, that's not going to touch too much of Grim Tales of Terror at the moment. And so obviously you could do your own thing. And then if a studio wants to do something else, and then it also kind of works collectively with each other. Where obviously, I speak to a lot of people and I forgot who I was speaking to, but he moves around to a bunch of different comic companies. And so he'll write for Marvel, then he'll write for Scout, and then he'll write for 10 other companies. And he's the brand, not the product that he's writing for. And so what is that like? Because I think in certain ways, it adds just more credibility to Zenescope, where once you have a movie or you have an option or you have a development, I think you are taken more serious in the comic community. and you're taken now not as, oh, this is just a comic company. No, this is an entertainment business. This is an IP business. And I think there's a real shift that's going on right now in comics with that.
Yeah, I mean, we've always wanted to position ourselves in that way. Again, going back to your question earlier about merchandise and like doing things outside of just comics. I mean, we've always operated in that manner. The film and TV stuff's hard because again, you can't just go out and make your own movie usually unless you're independently wealthy or have like a huge backing, some big guns behind you, and a lot of investment capital, which we don't have. Like we never had investment capital. We just kind of just started from grassroots and continue that way. So we always had to be. We've always been aggressive with how we grew the company and the entertainment and the ancillary, but we've been aggressive, but we have had to be cautious too. But now we're at a level where we're starting to be able to spread our wings a little bit more, and we're very confident in our abilities to tell stories, and tell stories people want to see and want to read and want to go watch. And so it's not about lack of confidence and the ability to do it. It's just about the lack of resources sometimes. But now that we're with Kickstarter, with some of the success we've had, it's allowed us to kind of
Do
spread
you
things.
do you also feel though that, and this is what I think, is that I think COVID has been a liberator. It's a weird statement to make, but I think pre-COVID, everybody was in the box on how to do things. And I think one of the things that obviously you did and a bunch of other people did was doing a lot of the live streams,
Mhm.
every month. And obviously this entire show where I was pre-recorded and I was just a straight out podcast, and then COVID happened and then I started going live and my audience legitly exploded
Right.
because of that. And so in a lot of ways, my whole business model and then obviously my eBay business and a bunch of other stuff changed. And so do you feel though that because of COVID that it kind of broke down a bunch of barriers? A lot more people I think got on to Kickstarter. I think a lot more people got out of the big two, which is
Yeah.
Marvel and DC. And now people are, I guess, saying, cool, we ventured outside the norm as far as entertainment goes as well. And also things like Netflix and streaming has exploded. And so I'm just curious if you feel that also, where because the way I feel is that I would not be here right now if it wasn't because of COVID. And I'm not saying I wanted a bunch of people to die and I wanted that disease. That's not what I'm saying at all. But obviously, it has been a net positive for me overall in how I run my business and how I have, even how I interview and how I stream and even my audience. And so I'm curious if you feel to some degree where, if we were in pre-COVID and everything was just running down the train, like I don't think anybody would be where they're at right now if COVID didn't happen, because I felt that was a game shifter. I really do.
I think, and I didn't mean to, I don't mean to laugh. Like the way you said it, it just was like struck me funny. Like, of course, yeah, we didn't want COVID to happen. If you could kind of go back in time, obviously, I think that was horrible for the economy and for obviously so many deaths and everything. The
I could put it a nice way. I think COVID had consequences that are both positive and negative, where I think it
uh,
has liberated the way people think about how
yeah,
they
I
want.
mean, I think people definitely adapted to, and we adapted right away to
Mhm.
virtual comic
Oh
cons.
yeah, that first one was great. That first one was a blast.
Yeah, it was a good idea. I think somebody in our office just mentioned it. I think it was Jen who runs our Kickstarters. It was the original kind of was like, we should just let's just go online and sell it and sell because we were like, what the hell's going on? So that definitely opened, and I think like that's where Whatnot's kind of is it Whatnot? Yeah, they kind of exploded after COVID, and then everybody started selling online, like, and it became like, oh, I'm home, I got nothing to do for a good year. People were just like, I'm home, I'm working from home, I got nothing to do, I'm bored. During the shutdown, people were bored. They're looking at, and then like it was almost like a form of investing, micro investing, because you're buying stuff that could retain its value, go up in value. Um, So that definitely changed a lot, and maybe it's kind of allowed people to, because before COVID, I think it was more like you go to a Comic Con, it was harder for people to get your product, unless they were going to. We have a San Diego Comic Con exclusive. How do I get that? I got to go to San Diego Comic Con. I got to hope there's enough left after San Diego Comic Con and I can buy it, or I have to go on the secondary market and I'll get it on eBay for double what somebody paid for it, or I'll go through somebody else, somebody who's marking it up by whatever percentage. So now you could just jump online and buy it at cost if you're on top of it and early enough, and you don't have to worry. So um, that's cool. That part's cool. I don't know how it's affected like Kickstarter or not. Like I don't know the trend there. Like I'm assuming Kickstarter's probably exploded during COVID too because people were just at home bored buying shit.
Very much. It exploded
And
on both sides. It
yeah, so I
exploded.
think like that
Yeah.
carried over. I don't see the convention. The conventions are different now. Like, and I've seen a lot of uptick in like these companies that have come out of the post COVID and become sort of they're not really publishers. They act like publishers. Maybe they publish a book or two. They're usually not good. They'll do variant covers. They'll research them and go, okay, I buy Zenescope's covers that Sun Kumanaki does the cover on. I'll get a Sun Kumanaki cover on my book. I don't put any effort into writing. Doesn't matter. They get a Sun Kumanaki cover and they're like, this is a collectible cover, limited edition.
I was speaking with Ben Dunn, and Ben Dunn threw something out and said, "We're going to get to the point where there's going to be nothing inside the book, and
Yeah.
it's going to be a cover,
Yeah.
and you limit that thing to 300 copies, and
Well,
you might be better than everybody else. You just might. I mean, he was saying it in jest. And he
no,
was,
but it's true. I mean, people a lot of times don't know. And like, I guess there's some weird value in that. I don't know. Like, I don't understand. They're like Diamond's doing the retailer thing where if you buy 3,000 comics of a Marvel book, so if you're a retailer and you have an account through Diamond and you buy those 3,000 copies, you could do your own variant cover as long as they approve it. But you could hire, David Nakayama, who does a ton of them now. You could hire Don McTagg. You can hire whoever you want, put their cover on your book on that 3,000 copies and sell those as an exclusive. Or, even though there's 3,000 copies out there, and there's so many. I mean, those are everywhere. Like tons of retailers don't. I don't know how it's supporting itself. I get worried because I'm like, it's got to be drowning the market. There's some.
without a doubt, without a doubt. I mean, the market is in a disaster on a variant position.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. There's too many comics.
Much, and nobody's regulating it. And when you buy these 3,000 covers, nobody's telling their clients like, this isn't 1 out of 100. This isn't a 1 out of 250. This is a 1 out of 3,000. Marvel, whatever color, Spider-Man, blah 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 blah. That 50 other retailers did the same cover. I mean, the same comic with a cover of their own. So there's about how many of these things out there, and nobody knows because they just go, oh, this has to be worth something because it looks cool, it's got a cool artist on it, and I got it at this place, and like that's what kind of worries me in the industry, is that kind of like
I
flooded
mean,
market, which happened in the 90s. Like the market got flooded with the variants and then it crashed.
it's very complicated. Where I think we are heading towards a crash, but I don't think we're heading towards a crash because of variants. I think we're just heading towards an economic crash, and I think it's just going to be where comic books and collectibles are correlated to the market and to the economy. And I mean, I'm talking about this on Friday with a bunch of people, and we're gonna have a very interesting discussion about it. And I'm probably gonna talk about it on Saturday too with somebody. And I just think that the markets are correlated. And
I
I don't.
think there's a when I was talking to, it might have been Toledo back in the day, and it was like back when variants in the '90s were such a big deal, and people were just starting to buy up. People didn't know. People started flooding into the market and going, "I'll buy. I want to buy. I want to get involved." It's like with crypto. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to buy something because I got to. I'm fear of missing out. And they started printing, like, instead of doing like limited runs, it was like, no, just fucking print whatever. Like, print a million of these things because they're going to sell because people think it's going to be worth something. So comics just got, and it's not at that point. We're not at that point. But like, people realize like these things that they were buying up at that point in the '90s, they weren't retaining their value. They weren't going up in value. They were just buying. There was a million available. It's like, so at what time, at what point do you just go, oh, okay, actually, this isn't an investment. I'm just buying comics and they're sitting in my cellar.
It's very complicated where I like
Um,
to buy low prints for
yeah,
reasons. I just bought a book that only has 80 copies printed.
right. So
And
low print, low. Like, I think buyers need to be aware like what they're getting, and I think a lot of times they're not aware that they're buying one of 3,000, and there's just no, or they're buying some like company that just is making exclusives, hiring an artist to put a cover on. There's no branding behind their book. It's just like a random company that puts big boobs on the cover and pretends they're Zenescope. It's just, to me, it's like, what do you do? Like, I more power to them, but at the same time, I think there's something to be said about having the brand consistency behind your investment.
no, I agree with you. I think that there's nothing wrong with having bad girl art on your cover, but then I think you need something in your book to have it, or you
Well,
could have
right,
nothing in your
like
book.
have something of quality. Yeah, like I don't know.
If your brand
It's a very uh there's people who take advantage of it and there's people who do it right. That's what I'll say. And the people taking advantage of it are just looking for a cash grab. Um, and then people who are really just trying to get, you know, I don't mind a company coming in and breaking into the industry and like going like, we're going to do variants too, like bring on the competition as long as you have a quality product, um, and you're doing it the right way. But I get a little uneasy when it's like not, I don't know,
do you feel, because I'm curious, is that do you feel right now that there's a lot of people coming into this industry looking to make cash, and they are really what I like to call a product, and or they're trying to be a business, but they're a product, and they have maybe 20
sure.
books, and they're trying to get a bunch of money, and then they're going to fizzle out because that's what I
Yeah,
think.
I think that's going to happen to a lot of people. I think what happens is people don't have enough of a like we were talking about foundation earlier. There's no foundation to a lot of these companies. Some do, some do come in and do the right thing and go about it the right way. I mean, and I understand some people just can't or can't afford to, and other companies come in with investment capital so they can throw a lot of money at the problem and they can throw money at their foundation and try to like get something going. That's fine. I get that. I do think a lot of these things are going to fizzle out because what happens is these companies that don't know what they're doing or just looking for a cash grab, it's not going to sustain itself. They're not laying a foundation. They're just looking. It's like, again, bringing up crypto, whatever. There's always like you come into it and you're like, oh my God, everybody's making money. It's not like all this money's just flying around. It's not like that. But people come in going, well, this person made that on their Kickstarter, and I can, and then they start to like flood the market with more of their, and then they kind of, it kind of has this trickle down effect of like, it ruins sort of the ecosystem in a sense. I think when too many people are coming in looking for a cash grab, and those people are not going to generally last. But if they do, more power to them. I mean, listen, we came in the scene in 2005, and I remember specifically a couple people saying, even like within earshot of us, going, said these guys are never going to last. They're get no, no. Like I remember at a convention, one guy we knew well from another publisher was, I overheard him kind of ripping us, And to our face, he was a nice guy. But then I ever heard him talking crap. This happened a couple times, and we're here almost 20 years later. So what do I know?
I know that feeling. I know plenty of people who thought I wasn't gonna make it and still
Yeah,
don't think I'm gonna make it. I'm like, yeah, you keep thinking that. We'll
yeah. I
see
mean,
what
that's the attitude you have to have. Like, all right, yeah, like I'll show you. And that's how we were, you know, coming in, and we were the new guys in the scene that didn't really come from the industry, so we weren't really welcome in the industry. And this industry is weird. People are uh, very guarded and very like, you know, not yeah. It's hard to really become friends with other
it's interesting in which that I don't
like,
have any friends.
publishers aren't generally friendly with each other. There's a lot of weird competition. We learned that early on. Like early on, we were trying to do ad swaps with some companies, and like we didn't know. We were just going, "Hey, you want to do ad? Let's do some ad swaps. We'll give you. We know you're a bigger company than us, but we're doing a good. Our books are coming out. Like we're starting to see some traction, and we're like, we'll put ads in all. Just put one of our ads in one of your books, and we'll put all your ads in our books. We don't care." And like people were just like, "What do you get out of here?" Like blowing you off. People are just like weird. I mean, and there's other publishers we're friendly with. There are people in this industry we know and we respect and we get along with. Um, I've known we've had a healthy competition, I guess you can call it, with Dynamite for years. I've known Nick Barucci since we started. Dynamite and us, you would think we'd be enemies because we do very similar books. We do a lot of the same kinds of things. Our You would think our fans share the same, interests. But we get along with Dynamite. I mean, I wouldn't say like I'm not, best friends with Nikki hanging out every time I see him, but we've gone to dinner, we've talked, done business together. Um, there are publishers in this industry that we do get along with, but then there's others that are just like look at you like, you know, they hate you, or even or either from the beginning who've been around longer, or now like the newer guys who just like want to like, have some sort of weird jealousy toward you or something because you've been around doing. I don't know. It's an interesting dynamic. This comic book.
Podcasting is not any different. The whole freaking
Yeah,
news space is not any different. I mean, I know so many things, and I know so much it doesn't talk about behind my back. So I get it.
I guess it's any business really. Like, there's always going to be jealousy. There's always going to be uneasiness. I think, like, as I talk about like some of the covers and the crap that I see in this industry, I get frustrated because I'm like, oh, mostly only because it's like when it's people who don't know what they're doing and are just, I feel like are kind of screwing stuff up for people who do. I'm not talking about people like new people coming in. Like, it's not fair. I don't want to make people think like, oh, these guys just don't want new competition and blah, blah, blah. It's nothing to do with that. It's nothing to do with that. It's more nuanced. And there's certain companies, and I wouldn't say there's a lot of them, but there's certain companies that like can rub you the wrong way because of the way they're handling stuff and doing things.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I get it. In which I completely get it. In which that certain people rub me the wrong way, so I get it. I get it completely. And
Yeah.
there's some bad blood. And don't worry though, Travis Kelce will take my side. Um, I'm sorry. I'm a big Travis Kelce Taylor Swift fan now. It's great.
I'm a Kelsey. I like their podcast.
Oh, it's absolutely great. It's
I'm a Eagles fan. You got represent Jason Kelsey and his brother.
hey, there's a Swift and a Taylor on the Eagles.
Mhm.
There is. So you can have
There's a Swift. Wait, Taylor. I don't know if there's a Taylor.
no. There's a Kelce and a Swift on the
Kelsey
Eagles.
and a Swift. It's just it's not Taylor.
Hey. I'm an equality for all type of guy. So you can all
Well,
take
another thing is Taylor was an Eagles fan. Just FYI, she's wear rocker Eagles jersey at all the time because she's from Reading, Pennsylvania, and she's always been an Eagles fan. Now she's suddenly, Kansas City fan, but we know she's really an Eagles
It's all right. It's all right. It's looking like the rematch is gonna happen
fan.
this year.
I don't know. We'll see. It's still a long season. I hope so.
Yeah, we're at the halfway point. We're at the halfway point. So that's all I'm going to say. But they made me money on Sunday, so I'm very happy. Both teams made me money on Sunday, so I'm very happy. But I digress. But I know you got to get out of here, so I do want to give you a chance to promote yourself.
Six.
So where could people bother you, disturb you, hit you up, check out Zenescope, check out the Kickstarter, all that fun stuff?
Come to visit us at Zenescope.com. Yeah, I mean anything with Zenescope in it, you'll find us. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, just Zenescope. Yeah. We right now we have the Kickstarter running. So if you do go to the website, or if you even go on our social media, you'll see the links that we'll plug them. We plug them a lot. And then keep an eye out for for the few of you who might be VIPs of our, I don't know who's listening, but our VIP events coming up in Las Vegas in March. So those tickets will go on sale next week. Our VIP event's like I don't know why you're waiting for Andrew. You got to get to a VIP event, man. Yeah, I haven't seen you at a VIP event.
Philly. I'll come up to Philly.
Philly one.
2024.
I'll comp you a ticket. Don't worry. But yeah, I mean, it's a private Comic-Con with our artists, with our cover artists, with our creators. You get free signings. We never charge for signings. You can come in if you buy our books, you collect your stuff. You can come in and get any of your books signed. We usually get like big name artists that do a lot of our covers.
Usually CBC's there, right? Usually
CBC's rep comes there. So you can come if you bought, like, say you bought a lot of Sun books, or you bought a lot of eBass books, or whatever it is, and you bring your books, they'll sign them, and you can get them graded right on site. Buy new books, we do new exclusives for the event, and then on top of that, food and drinks included. It's a one-day convention. You come in the night before. Usually, we do like a welcome-in reception, bunch of raffles. The Saturday convention's like 10 to 5, 10 to 6. We play games. We do giveaways. We feed you. You're drinking all you want to drink and eat, and tons of giveaways and stuff like that. And we do panels. We do a writer panel. And then we do a writer's room experience. We've done them on our live streams too, but we do it in person there. It's pretty fun. And then at night we just do another like a after party where we again feed you, get some drinks in you, whatever you want. It's basically just a big hangout for Zenescope fans. So it's fun. You guys should check it out.
Yeah, and then I'm just going to quickly promote myself. Obviously, I am Pop Anime Comics on all social media. That's Twitter, X, Instagram, Facebook, as well as on YouTube. So check me out there. TikTok is Pop Anime Comics. So if you come find me, check me out, see what's up. And I got a lot of content up on YouTube. I got like 1,200 videos, a bunch of interviews, a bunch of people have been on. And if you can't find something that won't entertain you on my YouTube channel, I am clearly doing something wrong at that point. So feel free to let me know. Feel free to let me know on that. And that's everything that I got. And yeah, just support comics in general, everybody. And on that note, I'm going to give you the final word.
Final word is go Birds. Go Eagles. Now, thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it. Always a lot of fun. Hopefully, you have us back on. Get Joe on to talk about the cards, because he'll give you a lot better insight than I will on the cards.
I'll hit him up. He's a hard man to track down.
We'll get him on again. Don't worry.
But that, I think, is a perfect place to wrap up, everybody.
Bye, guys.